What is up, everybody? We are back in the building. Good morning. Good morning. I guess you can call this a morning show. It's 10 a.m. here in beautiful, sunny Southern California. I know it is like afternoon in many places where all of you are, but we are in the building and we are going to do what we do best. We're going to cook. I'm going to let everybody know what's going on with the daily news, the things that are in the headlines. First and foremost, there was a wonderful debate that took place between Nick Fuentes and Piers Morgan. By the title, you know that I believe that Nick Fuentes owned Piers Morgan in this debate, addressed a lot of issues or a lot of questions people may have had about him. Also, he confirmed exactly what I said about him in my past video. I posted that about between 5 and 8 days ago. If you haven't watched that, go check it out. Also, Jasmine Crockett, man, she never ceases to amaze me and she never ceases to entertain everyone. She is absolutely melting down as she grows more and more aware of the fact that her Senate run that she has just announced in response to the fact that she's most likely going to lose her congressional seat, her representative seat. Her Senate run is pretty much doomed from the start. We'll cover that, and we'll also cover why Black women are melting down about the uh, inevitable failure of the Jasmine Crockett Senate campaign. So much so that a social media influencer was actually attacked by one of his female relatives over statements that he made about Jasmine Crockett and her failed Senate campaign. And then it's not even last, but Zohran Mamdani, newly appointed mayor of New York, newly elected mayor of New York, appoints failed rapper and criminal degenerate MYSONNE to a position within the government of New York City. Now, everybody has their opinions. You want them read live on the air, unless I know you, put them in the form of a super chat. Feel free to argue with me, all that. If you got an argument that makes sense or it looks good, I'll send you a link. You can come up here and talk with me about it. Don't know what Piers Morgan's strategy was. Don't care what Piers Morgan's strategy was. Really, what I know is that there were a lot of facts that were stated in this interview, and yeah, it's hard to argue with the facts. Now, I was debating whether I should cover this by playing clips from the Cartier family's video. I like some of their responses, and they have some good little back and forth debate. I was thinking maybe we'll do a double whammy, address the things that Nick Fuentes said, and address the things that the Cartier family said, because I think it's very important to not only review the actual footage, the actual debate, but also it gives us an opportunity to review some of the different sentiment concerning that debate. So maybe I will do the Cartier family video about it, because I was just gonna go straight Piers Morgan. But I love their back and forth as brothers, and I feel like it highlighted a lot of the dissent among African Americans and people in general when it comes to feelings and opinions regarding Nick Fuentes. Me personally, I don't really have anything against Nick Fuentes. What he says doesn't bother me. I made a video the other day and I told you guys, Nick Fuentes, where is Nick Fuentes going to work? He can't go get a regular job like you. So his success is totally dependent on social media. And on social media, if you are not producing some type of shock value, if you are not saying things that are going to get people talking and get the social media spaces buzzing, you're basically dead. And if that's all you do, if that's what your livelihood is, you're basically gonna be poor, and nobody wants to be poor. So let's get into this video, and remember, like, share, subscribe if you like the content. If you feel it's adding some value to your day, let it be known by hitting that like button. Share it to your friends, and also feel free to bless the channel with a super chat contribution if you are in a position to do so. Good morning to you all. Let's get started.
I would say he is right about the two personas. And I think that everybody understands this on some level. On my show, I make jokes and I use rhetoric and I'm hyperbolic because for a long time, I had an audience that was small on these like dissident platforms. I was on D Live for many years. A lot of people don't even know what that is. And so I had a small following and we had sort of like an in-group sense of humor and memes and things like that. And you talk about it one way on a freewheeling live stream when I'm by myself and I'm ranting and we make jokes and we play devil's advocate. We play with different positions. But then when you sit down in an interview like this one and people ask me a good faith question, what do you actually believe? Well, then I clarify and I say, well, here I'm not joking. Here I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm not being rhetorical. I'll tell you precisely what I believe. As far as this idea that I'm going to get power and then turn into Hitler, that just sounds totally insane to me. I'll be honest. It just sounds insane.
Yeah. So let's address that first. You know, people on the internet have a way of just making up their own narrative and their own story. It's what they want to be true, as opposed to what is actually the truth. Nick Fuentes is not some quote unquote Nazi Satanist, you know, the way people try to make it seem. He is a person who is providing entertainment value on social media. He says it. I'm being hyperbolic. I'm joking. And if you get me on a real show, a real journalistic show, which I feel Piers Morgan's show is, I will clarify the statements that I make and the things that I say. But when he's on his own show, he has to be entertaining. He won't have the success that he has enjoyed. He said he was on something called D Live and all this stuff, and he had a very small following, and it was more personable, kind of like the position I'm in. I have a small following, and it's more personal. If I was a bit more hyperbolic, said a few more things that ruffle people's feathers, well, I would be blowing up to maybe Charleston White's level. In my opinion, Charleston White says things 10 times worse than anything that Nick Fuentes has ever said. Charleston White has said things like he thinks women deserve to be raped and all that. You don't see the outrage that you see when Nick Fuentes sees something. And there's this issue I feel that exists within the minority communities led by the liberal feminist white community, where it's like you're always looking for oppression. You're always looking for an oppressor. No matter how weak and insignificant this person may be, we have to find a way to bend down and bend over so that they can be so that we can view them from the perspective of an oppressor. Nick Fuentes is nobody's oppressor. I will slap the dog shit out of Nick Fuentes, and he probably won't do anything about it. How am I going to pretend like that guy's oppressing me? He's stating his opinion. You don't like his opinion, but there's really nothing you can do about it because a lot of things he says are actually true. So you play the racism card. And you have to stop doing that. Already in the comments, Brandon's a white apologist. Why do I need to apologize for white people? People say what they want to say, white, black, blue, or green. I can't be a white apologist. Why project it onto me? You should just say, look, I'm weak-minded. And I want to live in a world, and I want to live in the world and feel like every white man has power over me. It's white people that live right next door to me. I'm here saying cracker and everything else. They don't say anything. They just keep it moving. What are they going to say? There was a white dude. He lives next door. He's like a kid of another white guy. He lives with his dad, but he moved back home from college. We were being loud, wrestling and fighting. He's like, hey, can you guys keep it down? I said, shut the hell up, B. I said, shut the F up, B. What are you going to do? And you know what he did? Nothing. Close that window. I don't need to apologize for white people. I need to interact with white people according to how they interact with me. You give respect, I give respect. You want to disrespect, I could either walk away or disrespect you back. No one needs to apologize for anyone. And it's sad that there are people who exist in the world who will live with that mindset where they're going to permanently make themselves a slave to these white folks, who most of these white people aren't even thinking about you. They're thinking about how they're going to survive, how they're going to feed their children and send them to college. And you're like, no, wait, Mr. White Man, I need you to be the oppressor for me so I could play victim. Nah, I ain't apologizing for nobody, and I ain't going to sit up and bow down and bend over for nobody. You can stick to that. I'm going to do what I want to do. But basically, Nick Fuentes is admitting what I said earlier in my video days ago. This guy's just a shock jock. He's Rush Limbaugh. He's Rush Limbaugh with a little bit more edge to him. If you think Nick is anything more than that, you're just wasting your own time. You're just crying wolf. There ain't nothing there. And he's making it clear, yeah, this is who I am. You don't even know anything about the guy other than what you see on social media. But you've already made him your damn slave master. Go figure. It's kind of pathetic.
Always coming up with, no, it's not the Jews. No, it's not women. No, it's not blacks. It's actually really complicated. No, it fucking isn't at all. Jews are running society. Women need to shut the fuck up. Blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part. And we would live in paradise. It's that simple. That's 100% true. Everything I said in that clip is true.
Including that blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part.
Yeah. Yes.
But all of them?
No, for the most part.
What does the most part mean?
Bruh, Nick Fuentes is funny as hell. Yeah, like, I look at that dude like a comedian. He's like, so you believe that all blacks need to be in prison? What did he say? He said, women need to shut the F up. Blacks need to be in prison for the most part. That was like, to me, it hit like a Dave Chappelle joke. It was funny. And then he's like, you agree with all that? And the dude is like, and Nick Fuentes is like, yeah. Bruh, if you take this guy serious, you're an idiot. The crap was funny as hell. But he's getting at a bigger, he's hinting at a larger issue, right? Every man in the room has felt like, man, women just need to shut the hell up. They're just making everything worse. We've all felt like that. And when he says black people need to be in jail for the most part, clearly he's talking about black people who commit crime, right? But if you want to go deeper into that, hell, you got people nowadays saying that black people whose kids commit crime, the kid and the parent should be locked up, like what happened in Chicago when all them kids jumped on that lady and her son when she was just walking them home from school. And she had just got out the hospital. You have black people saying, don't just lock the kids up, lock the parents up too. Why is it when Nick Fuentes says something like that, in jest, I believe, why is it a problem? But then when other black people say it, you agree with it. All I'm going to do is call out the inconsistency. I mean, pick a side, pick a struggle. But don't say it's okay when a black person says it, but it's not okay when a white person says it. I'm not going to get on board with that. If you making biscuits from scratch, the recipe going to hit the same if the recipe is followed correctly, whether it's a white or black person making it. Now, black people, we might add a little extra sun to it and make it a little better, but generally, you should get a similar outcome.
And what percentage of American blacks would you like to see in prison?
Whatever the percentages of the murderers. I think it's 1 in 20 black men will commit a murder in their lifetime. So maybe let's say that 5%.
Oh, so you're talking about black people who murder people?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But you didn't say that.
That's
You just said
problem.
blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part. You didn't clarify that you were talking about black murderers.
Right. No, you're right. That's a good addition to that. That's a great point.
Do you think it's funny or?
I do. I think it's hilarious. I think it's totally true.
Do you think a black American would find it funny? You think that blacks should be imprisoned for the most part?
Blacks are my biggest fans. I get high fives all the time. They say, Nick Fuentes, I love your show. They agree with me. And you want to know why? Here's the difference. Black people are the most victimized by other black people. You think black people want to live in the hood and the ghetto and get shot all the time? That's what happens in the south side of Chicago. You should come here. I'll take you there. We could go to Garfield Park.
My son
we could
went
go
to Chicago
Inglewood.
University for a year, actually, several years ago.
Yeah, that's a bubble. That's a bubble. You think you're in Chicago and Hyde Park? You don't know Chicago. Go a little bit west, see what it's like over there. And I'll tell you, black people agree with me because they're tired of it too. And maybe not most of them, but a lot of them agree with what I say about that because they know how it is. That's why the first thing they do when they make a little bit of money is they go and leave to another neighborhood. Okay.
There's nothing that Nick Fuentes said there that's a lie. The part about 5% of black men committing a murder in their lifetime, that is actually a true statistic. It is just, he just states it out of, he presents it out of context, right? But that's for you to look up. But the fact that someone could say 5% of black men will commit a murder in their lifetime, period, is the greater issue. What did Nick Fuentes say there that hurt your feelings? Was he wrong? He said, dude, black people are my biggest fans. They're giving me high fives and shaking my hand, saying they love my show when I see them in public. He said, why? Because black people are the most victimized by other black people. Black people live in the hoods with the Pookies and Ray Rays and Bonquishas who shooting up the neighborhood and jumping on their kids. Like those little kids in Chicago did that lady and her son. Woman is clearly sick, fresh out the hospital. She's walking down the street. They kicking her son in the ass. The little boy ain't no fighter or nothing. He's scared. You know when somebody puts their hands over their ears, they ain't about that. When somebody just breaks down and puts their hands over their ears, that's a sign of like trauma, right? They don't know how to deal with what's going on. Soldiers do that when they get shell-shocked at war. They kicking her son in the ass, and when she hugs him to protect him from them kicking him and hitting him, slapping him and stuff, they jump on her and get her on the ground and start stomping her ass out. But because you don't like Nick Fuentes because he's a racist, quote unquote, we got to ignore that and just accept it. See, there's things about the black community that exist and happen that even Nick Fuentes doesn't know how to articulate because he's not black. But I've been saying this from the very beginning, since I started this channel. The issue with the black community is not even the Pookies and Ray Rays. The issue with the black community are the people who know better. The people who aren't criminal-minded, but they apologize and defend criminals and criminality at all costs. The mother who knows her son's a gangbanger. She knows he's the trigger man for the gang. As a matter of fact, she let the gang members come hang out at her garage every single day. She is not a criminal, but she harbors, nurtures, and perpetuates a criminal element. She's the problem. She's the problem. When her little Pookie gets arrested and they trying to ship his ass up the river, she the one who gonna run out and refinance the house to get a lawyer to keep that degenerate out on the streets. That's the problem. We have too many people in our community who do something that doesn't exist in any other community, who apologize and defend criminal behavior. I'll give you there was a movie called Fast and the Furious. I think it was Fast and Furious. You remember the first Fast and the Furious where they was getting into it with those Asians? And the Asian daddy found out that he was robbing the trucks. They thought it was Dom them, but it was the Asians. And when his daddy found out he was stealing, what did his dad do? That's my baby. No. That boy walked in the house, his dad slapped the dog shit out of him. You shame this family. Get the hell out. They disown their criminals. They evict them. They excommunicate them from society. What do black people do? We celebrate our criminals. Free the homie fast. That's my nigga. We went to school together. Well, your homie is a mass murderer. He kills people who look just like you every day and does drugs and probably rapes women. But you're celebrating it because you feel like being closely associated with the criminal element within your community gives you value and importance. See, that's what Nick Fuentes is not going to say. because he's never lived a black experience, but he grew up in Chicago, so he knows a lot about black criminality. It doesn't hurt me when Nick Fuentes says that. It tells me, yo, we need to do better. Because as long as someone like that could say things about our community, like what he says, and it's true, there's an issue that needs to be taken care of. If you don't like him talking about you, stop doing it. And if you're not the one doing it, stop defending it. Simple as that. And then there's an old saying, if you conquer the enemy within, the enemy at the gates can do you no harm. And that's us. Black America has an enemy within its own ranks. But we trying to fight everybody who's outside the gate. But you need to deal with the enemy on the inside. And once you deal with the enemy on the inside, the enemy outside, they can't do nothing to do. People like Nick Fuentes have no power over your feelings. Debates. First word. Nick doesn't like black people. Who cares? Why are black people obsessed with being liked? You better go watch that movie Fences and that scene where Denzel talks to his son about being liked. Nobody gotta like you. As long as they ain't getting in lynch mobs and coming to hang your ass from the nearest tree, you should be okay with white people. Because when they was lynching you and burning your body up, you wasn't doing nothing about it. That's what kills me about black people. We swear we got all these smoke from white people. White folks would put on sheets on their face, pull up on your front door, drag you and your kids out the house, burn you in a tree, hang you and burn you in a tree, and black people didn't do nothing but say, don't go outside after dark. But all of a sudden, we about to go to war. Come on, bro. You don't want to. You love them too much. You like a dog, owner kick it, the dog's still trying to lay up under him. But you mad at Nick Fuentes because he's an easy target, low-hanging fruit.
Okay, so what was it?
I'm gonna take a pause on the facts, guys.
I mean,
That's a fact.
if you're asking me, do I think that people that kill people need to go to jail? I think that's an undeniable fact.
For sure.
I think that a lot of the crime against other black people that comes from black people is a problem. We've said that on this channel 100 times.
2 + 2.
I mean, it's like I can't. It's like I'm not going to be offended at something that I've also said.
Now, Piers, he just said, "Oh, I went to Chicago University." That's the problem.
Said my son did.
Well, whatever. A lot of these liberals. I'm not going to say Piers is liberal. I don't know what he is. A lot of people that try to sugarcoat what's going on in the black community have never been to the hood, and they have never been around black people enough to know what black people do here. So.
I mean, we just watched the video of a birthday party getting shut up. I mean, these are the type of people and type of things that happen in the hood. I mean, it may not happen at the rate people try to deny it, but the fact that it happens is enough to make these type of comments. I think those people need to go to jail. I've said that on this channel too. I've said that the crime that black people commit against other black people is a problem. We talk about that on this channel all the time. We get accused of being coons, sellouts, tap dancing for white. So it's like, bro, I'm a black person. I see crimes committed against people that look like me by people that look like me. I take issue with it. It doesn't matter who agrees with me.
So the brother with the red and white hat is basically saying he's tired of black hypocrisy. If I call out the crime in our community, black people disparage me. If you say, hey, we got to do better. We can't be out here, doing the stuff that we doing. Oh, you a coon, etc. Somebody in the comments was literally calling me a white apologist for saying that Nick Fuentes is right about the criminality in the black community. Whether you call me you could call me anything you want. Just don't call me late for dinner, and it's not going to change the facts. Les Brown said it best. If you argue for your limitations, the problem is if you win the argument, you get to keep them. That's like somebody arguing for why they should let the gas keep on running on the stove. When you turn your stove on, you say, you smell some gas? Yeah, I smell gas. Go check the stove. It's like somebody laying on the floor saying, man, I'm tired. I don't feel like checking the stove. Well, dude, listen. If you win the argument and you don't got to get up and go check the stove, you get to die. That's your consolation. That's your reward. You get to succumb to carbon monoxide poisoning in the middle of the night. Hooray for you. That's black folks. We so desperate to win an argument that we will argue in defense of things that hurt us. And if someone points that out, they're a coon, a traitor, a Uncle Tom, and every other derogatory name you could call a black person. But what the other brother is saying, well, he said, oh, well, Nick is just stating obvious facts. Well, if the facts are so obvious, why are we having disagreement about it? If the facts are so obvious, why are you mad that Nick Fuentes is getting paid to talk about it? You got black folks talking about celebrities. Oh, whoop-de-whooping the Illuminati. That was a sacrifice. Oh, this Hollywood is controlled. Okay, we know all that. Why we know that. But you still got people getting paid to keep on talking about it. Just because something is well known doesn't mean people are going to stop talking about it. No, you're mad because you don't like when a person who doesn't, you don't like when anybody tells you the truth. Whether they're black, white, blue, or green. But then if you ask them, well, what's your solution? I don't know. I don't even get involved in that stuff. Your solution is to ignore it in the name of radical individualism. But then when your kid get beat up by the cops, you want me to go get out in the street and march for you. So they're having like a brotherly disagreement because one is like, he's just stating obvious stuff. And the other one's like, yeah, and that's cool. But as long as black people are criticized and condemned for stating it, guess what? The only time you're going to listen to it is when a white person like Nick Fuentes says it. And me, I need you to get the message. I don't care about how offended you are. You want him to stop talking about it? Stop doing it.
It's a problem.
These conservative ideologies are 2 plus 2. Now
it's really not even a conservative ideology.
Listen to what this dude said. These conservative ideologies. And this dude with no hat, with the gray eyes or whatever he's got, he represents what's wrong with black people. These conservative ideologies are 2 plus 2. Dude, not wanting to get your house shot up is a conservative ideology. He's a freaking moron. Someone wanting to live in a peaceful neighborhood is not conservative or liberal. It's just human. I don't want my kids getting shot at on the way to school. When someone sit up and say that common sense is a conservative ideology, thank you for pushing people more to the conservative side of the aisle. If common sense is conservative, what does it mean to be liberal? What is liberal? Willful ignorance? Willful obtuseness? See, they tell them themselves every time they open their mouth. If you're a black person who doesn't want to live in a neighborhood where your son is getting jumped on the way to school, if you're a black person who doesn't want to live in a neighborhood that's getting shot up every damn day, you somehow are a traitor to your race and a white supremacist supporter and apologist. Does that make sense? Hey, look, you want to live in a neighborhood where your son got to dodge bullets all day? Does that make you a white supremacist or a coon? But you got people on the nigga net who gonna try to tell you that you're wrong and you're somehow a traitor to your identity because you want to live in peace. And you know those people, they're the ones raising the thugs and degenerate and whores who will take out your kid, who will have you looking down on your kid in a pine box. You have a conservative, you're pushing conservative talking points because you want to live in a peaceful neighborhood. And if you really break it down, those are the real self-haters and black white supremacists. Any black person that tells another black person that they have to live in a situation where their life is in danger every day, or else they're a traitor to their race, to me, that person is an advocate for the destruction of black people. Yeah, man, if you really want to be down, you got to run through the hell of bullet fire. You might as well tell me I got to be down with Hoover Deuce, or I'm not black. You're shaming your ancestors.
I really just feel like that's just a factual ideology. If you kill people, you should go to jail.
Period.
That's what jail is for.
But real quick, though,
conservative liberals are literally letting people out there commit.
Yeah,
that's
facts.
facts. It is a conservative talking point as well.
Yes.
But the fact that, okay, so if the stat is correct, 1 out of 20.
Pierce is gonna say that's not correct, but let's
look it up real quick.
Well, Pierce, let's hear what Pierce has. Let's
look it up real quick.
His rebuttal is a liberal rebuttal to me. Let's hear what he says. But yeah, you can look it up if you want to, because he said they got people on the show fact checking right now. But either way, it doesn't have to be fact checked to me. We see day to day. I'm black. I'm around black people all the time.
It's interesting. People make comments on us like, "Oh, you guys don't be in the hood. Y'all don't be around black people. Y'all hate black people." No, we don't. I literally am black. All my friends are black. I'm a black guy. I mean, like what?
Yeah, it said the 1 under 20 stat. Not Pierce. Nick said that he got that from somewhere. Maybe it's wrong or right. Maybe it's right or wrong. Who knows? But we know what we see day to day.
This is that, according to Grog, that stat isn't.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna keep it 100. I'm just gonna keep it 100. If you kill people, you should go to jail. It doesn't matter what race you are.
I feel like we honestly shouldn't even be saying that on the freaking mic.
I just think that's just a factual statement.
Let's hear what Pierce has to say.
That's why the first thing they do when they make a little bit of money is they go and leave to another neighborhood.
Okay, so what was
They don't stick
just remind
around.
me again, the percentage of black men who commit murder in America. What was the percentage?
Okay, so let me clear this up before Piers Morgan tries to water down what Nick is saying. Okay, so Nick Fuentes he's regurgitating this figure that says that 5% of all black men will commit a murder in their lifetime, right? I could just tell you anecdotally, I got a nephew, he's probably going to end up killing somebody. And if I got 1, 2, 3, 4 nephews, who we got? We got Righteous, Maurice, we got Ezra and Eden and Bejan. So it's 5 of them, right? 5 of them. Out of those 5, one of them dudes, I'm pretty sure is going to end up killing somebody. That's 1 out of 5. So I'm just going to give you the anecdotal. 1 out of 5. And if the one who hang with him every day is dumb enough to let him drag him into it with him, it's going to be 2 out of 5. Hyper emotional, hyper aggressive, has abandonment issues, little, young, already talking about own a dead home and shit like that, fighting at school all the time, getting kicked out. Yeah, he's on his way. Getting jumped, then going to jump people, he's on his way. Nick Fuentes is not wrong. And it's stupid of you to want him to be wrong, because I would just say, let me just operate based on that number and then try to start fixing this stuff and addressing the problem. I can get more government money to deal with the issue with Nick Fuentes' number than I could get with Piers Morgan's number. Understand that. But what's going on with the 5% number that Nick Fuentes is using, what people do is they take the amount of homicides that are committed by black men and they divide that by the total number of black men in America. And if you do that, you get roughly 5% of black men committing murder. So it does make sense. It is taken out of context. I will acknowledge that. But it shouldn't even be close. It should be nowhere near that amount. When every other group is like 1% or less. We are committing a disproportionate amount of the murder. And instead of arguing with Nick Fuentes, we need to be addressing, why is that the case? We know why. That's why we argue. Because we already know why. We got the why. We got the who, we got the why, we got the where, and we got the how. Now we don't got the what. What are we going to do to stop it? That's all we need. I'm not mad at Nick Fuentes. I'm mad at me. I'm mad at my community, because there's no way someone should be able to get on TV and say something like that about you. The FBI says 55% of the crime in the country is being committed by African Americans, who only represent 14% of the population. And the coonies say that's because we're over police. No, that's because you're overly committing crime. Because there's no accountability. And in many of our communities, committing crime is glorified. And it starts when you're young, like the woman who defend her kid when her kid is 3 years old and steals something out of the beauty supply. You're training a criminal. Let's keep going.
You gave me?
It's 1 in 20. 1 in 20.
It's 1 in 100.
No, it's 1 in 20.
No. Less than 1 in 100 black US men commit murder. That's the most up-to-date crime statistics in America.
That's not true. I've seen other statistics. They say 1 in
have?
20 will eventually commit a murder.
So your rate means that you're saying that 5 times as many black men commit murder as the official crime statistics say.
Yeah, there's a report, I believe, on X by Data Hazard. I'll have to go and double check that for you. But yes, there's some pretty shocking evidence that says that it's far more alarming than you would think.
Okay, you would accept that the official crime statistics are 1 in 100.
No, let's check it. We do need to check it.
I don't care about the stat at all. I don't care about the stat at all.
I mean, I care about stats and facts and speaking the truth.
Well, I mean,
He said data hazard.
look, at the end of the day, we know what the hell going on. Everybody gets stats wrong every day.
Well,
here's a black male violent death rate. It says in 2022, out of 100,000 black males, 56.4% died by homicide.
Right. So, but the stat that I do always look up, and I've checked like 3 or 4 times on different websites and everything, black men are responsible in America for 56% of every single murder committed. That is a stat that is concrete that you can look up that I'm very confident in.
What'd you say?
Black men are responsible for 56% of all murders in the U.S.
Let's let them continue, guys. But let's forget the stats
just
for a
fact
second.
check it.
Let's forget the stats. Do y'all want to live in the hood and do y'all want to go to the hood?
We know the
Why
answer.
not?
No,
Why not? So that's all.
No, we're not arguing that. Hold on, brother.
Because that's like
Hold on. We're not arguing
the
the contrary at all. We know what side we're on with this argument, but it's just for the sake of the argument.
Yeah. So the one brother, he's making a lot of sense. He's saying, look, it don't matter what the stats are. You could argue stats all day. Do you want to go live in the hood? No. Most of these black folks defending the criminals, they won't live in the hood. A dude to be living in Pacific Palisades, get in an argument with his neighbor and be like, yeah, man, I'm from 95th and Crenshaw. But won't even dare go get a turkey chop on Crenshaw. But quickly throw it out there like that gives him some toughness that the other person doesn't have. No, Zeb Bates, out of 13% of our blacks in America, you're saying 5% of them got a body is crazy. That's not what that is. First of all, the 14% of black people in America is made up of black men, women, and children. This is a statistic that's specifically talking about black men. Go back to 3rd grade. Go back to 3rd grade and learn percentages. And learn how to listen. That's learn how to listen. That's your biggest flaw right now.
So then when the other side tries to push back, you have numbers and facts to back up what you are saying.
But
it says right here for FBI crime statistics, 55.9% of known homicide offenders were men and women. They're black.
That's that you can find everywhere.
That's on the FBI crime report.
So you know.
So listen, how are you only 14% of the population, but you doing 55% of the crime? That means you doing more crime as black people per capita. You're doing more crime than Asians, Mexicans, whites, Samoans, and everything else combined. Just think about that. Whether you want to agree it's true or not, that's way too much. And what makes it even worse is there's a chance that the numbers might be even higher than that, because what we know is that the major cities, they haven't been reporting the crime numbers to the FBI like they're supposed to the national database like they're supposed to. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to you because it sounds ridiculous, right? Richard Jackson. And see, when I get people who say like, that doesn't even make sense, Bro, yes, it does. It sounds crazy, right? It sounds crazy, right? But you know what also sounds crazy? Somebody kid can shoot up the neighborhood, kill 5 people. That person know their kid did it, and that person still get on the stand and say, he didn't do it, Your Honor. Yes, I live in this world, and yes, I do feel this threatened by blacks. What the hell are you talking about? There's areas where black people can't even go, where there's other blacks. What are you talking about? I just had a dude shoot out my damn car on 89th and Central because I'm going to my car and I'm like, hey, can you get out my car? They sitting on my car. Hey, can you get out my car? They get off the car as I'm driving away, they shoot at my car. There's a bullet hole in the back of my car. What the hell are you talking about? That wasn't a Mexican. That wasn't even a white person. It wasn't the KKK rolling around in a pickup truck with hoods and nooses. It was a black person. And that is why, and things like that is exactly the reason why a lot of black people avoid areas where there's a lot of black people. Because stuff like that ain't even gonna happen in a white area. You could go to the most racist town in America, and that's not gonna happen. You could go to one of these Mexican towns on the border, Chula Vista, something like that. That's not gonna happen. First of all, they're not gonna disrespect you by sitting on your car. And if they do, and you ask them to move, they're probably not gonna shoot at you as you drive away. Stop. Stop. I love this comment, Comma Classical. Does niggas be getting popping in Wyoming, North Dakota, or Oregon? No. Go to the states where there are no blacks or very little and watch the crime rate is low. Then go to the state where there are blacks and watch the crime rate is high. And more specifically in the cities where there are a lot of black people. I'm not making that up. I'm not making that up. Now, we do know white people do the mass shootings and stuff. But here's the difference. When a white person is about to get in a fight, they don't say, hey, fool, I'm from Columbine, fool. Columbine Crip, nigga. They're not glorifying the murders and the degeneracy in an effort to appear tough or hard or gangster. But if you get a message that the rolling 60 Crips just shot 15 people, everybody in the neighborhood, if they get into it, they screaming, yeah, bro, I grew up in the 60s. It's just crazy stuff. That's the difference. Whites, Asians, Mexicans, they don't glorify their degenerate behavior. They don't. We're the only ones who do that. And you fall in love with it. Nigga, your favorite movie is South Central. Your favorite movie is Boys in the Hood. Your favorite movie is Menace to Society, not Shawshank Redemption. Ask a white person, what's your favorite movie? Oh, There Will Be Blood. Black person, what's your favorite movie? Boys in the Hood, nigga. Because we have in a way an admiration of that. We kind of love it. And there's a lot of reasons why. But you have to acknowledge you have a problem. You have to admit that you have a problem. That's the only way you're going to be able to fix it.
But how I move around, hold on though. But how I move around black people, oh, the stuff says it. No, that's not how that.
That's called anecdotal data.
We're not doing that. We're not. Nobody's saying, oh, the stats says that. No, we're going off of how we feel and what's happening day to day. Point blank. Period. That's why I don't want to go off no more stats. That's why I didn't like that argument. The stats argument doesn't matter. Piers, would you go there? Piers, would you go there? No. Would you watching this video go there? No. So we don't think about stats when we're going off.
Well, I like
100%. I love what he said. Throw the stats away. Are you going to watch right now 103rd Street train station today? Throw it away. You going to the Hacienda Villages? You going to the Imperial Courts? You going to Nickerson Gardens? You going to the PJ or whatever them places called? Nah, you ain't going. And you know why? Justin Bieber went and you won't even go, and you black. And you know why? It's getting more and more out of control. Y'all, listen, show me the white rappers who are talking about killing each other on wax and then going to do it out in the street. King Von, FBG Duck, all these fools. You don't see it. Stop trying to compare you to them. You use them as a deflection so you don't have to address the things that are seriously wrong with you. And people are sick of it. And what makes people sick of it even quicker is the fact that while you're trying to defend it, people are dying. Piers Morgan trying to be the UK liberal, and Nick Fuentes is just dropping facts. I don't get how people can get mad at the facts. Anything else is him saying, I don't like black people. Okay. I don't wake up in the morning and say, damn, I wonder if Nick Fuentes likes me today. Couldn't care less.
I like to speak the truth. I like to use
Well,
data to make
you
my
are
points.
thinking about stats because if 56%,
You don't think about that when you see, like you said at the baseball park example, when you come out the baseball park and see a bunch of black people sitting there and Nike takes some poo shots, you gonna think about the stat then?
yes, I'm going to think about black people are more likely to kill, statistically speaking.
I think we gonna think about that because we know what we see day to day.
It's both true. We know it's true. At
But
the end of the
anyway,
day, that's not an argument.
So I don't like that stat argument, but I mean, hey, let's go.
Want to double check that for you. But yes, there's some pretty shocking evidence that says that it's far more alarming than you would think.
Okay, but you would
And I
accept that
see
the
this
official
evidence.
crime statistics are 1 in 100, or you wouldn't accept that statistic?
I don't know. I don't have it in front of me, but I've seen other evidence. Like I said, Data Hazard on X, I believe, produced a report about a year ago. It said 1 in 20. But I mean, whether it's 1 in 20 or 1 in 100, that's a lot of people, Piers. I mean,
Sure,
this is
a lot
real
of white
problem.
people commit murder too.
That's what I don't like.
And Nick made another great point. Whether it's 1 in 20 or 1 in 100, when you're considering that 14 million divided by 100 is 40. What is 14 million divided by 100? Do you know the answer to that? 14 million divided by 100? 440,000. That's a lot. Not saying there's a 440,000 murders being committed. Guys, how many murders are we committing? If 1 out of 100 black men commit a murder, and it's, well, we would have to know the number of black men. I don't know that, but it's a lot. It's a lot. It's in the hundreds of thousands, which is way too much. Real JD, I know he is. Yeah, he's right. Nick actually, that's why I put Nick on Piers in this debate, because Piers was getting information, but Nick is already looking at the facts. He's been saying the same shit for years, and when I looked it up, it supported Nick. They just say it's taken out of context, but they don't say the number is wrong. But yeah, but my point is, if you are mad at Nick Fuentes, you're part of the problem. What he said has nothing to do with him being a racist. What he said has nothing to do with him being a white supremacist. I mean, the guy's a Mexican. His last name Fuentes, for God's sakes. But that has nothing to do with his opinions. Once someone states a fact, okay, I need to just go see if that stat is true or not. And if it is, I need to do something about it. Not deflect. Well, white people kill too, which is what Piers Morgan just tried to do right here.
Well, they do, don't they?
Okay, but it's about proportionality. I mean, white people are 65% of the population, blacks are 13%.
Mm-hmm.
And I think anybody would tell you that more black people proportionally commit violent crime than white people, and people vote with their feet. People would rather pay a much higher property tax.
Most mass
what's with the
shootings-
interruptions?
I'm sorry.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, you look.
See, the thing I like about Piers Morgan, what I respect, he's a liberal too. But when he is made aware that he's doing the liberal tactic of trying to filibuster to keep you from saying what you have to say, he'll acknowledge it and he'll shut up. You go against these other liberals, soon as you speak in facts and they have no rebuttal, they start trying to interrupt you with bad faith questions. But I can't be mad at Nick Fuentes.
at in Chicago, in New York, these neighborhoods are so stratified. People would rather pay a high tax rate. They'd rather pay a much higher property value to live in a less diverse, less black neighborhood because they don't want to live around the violence. And I think that when you look at even on the public transit, the subway, the blue line, you know, people don't want to go there because they know who occupies and menaces the public transit. It is these people like Daniel Penny had to deal with. It's people like Irina Zarutska had to deal with. And that's just the uncomfortable reality.
You
See, when somebody start naming names and you know exactly what they talking about, Irina Zarutska killed by the black dude. He said he targeted her because she was white. He said, I went after her because she was white, stabbed her in the neck. She's sitting there on her headphones. Little white lady. Jordan Neely. I'm not saying Jordan Neely was, well, shit, he was violent. He was violent. But we don't like that. Oh, he was mentally disabled. Yeah, he sure was. He was mentally disabled, beating up old ladies on the train, telling people he was going to kill them, asking people for money, and if they say no, he beating them up. Yeah, he was mentally ill. But what you're not going to do is try to use he was mentally ill as an excuse for the crime he was committing. Because I don't care how mentally ill you are, you know right from wrong. He didn't walk up to the police and punch. See, that's the one thing. These people be crazy as hell, right? But when the police come, they shape right up. You know what that means? They know right from wrong. They know you don't mess with these people in the uniform. So if you could distinguish between the cops and regular civilians, that means you can distinguish between right and wrong when it comes to committing crime. You get the craziest bum on the street, let the police show up. He gonna act right. He might still act crazy, but he ain't gonna attack one of them cops. I promise you that. It's an excuse.
You've also said you don't want to live near black people. Let's take a listen to this clip.
Like, you
I'm a
want
new
Piers?
generation of white person. I'm not living around blacks. Sorry. You know, I want white kids, and I don't want my white kids bringing home black people to me.
Okay. All right. Okay. We know what he's going to say. And this is where
Yeah, so Nick says he's a white person. He doesn't want his kids bringing home black people to marry. He don't want to live around blacks. Okay, that's his preference. It's crazy that black people always talking about, you know, I want to do this, I want to do that. I should be able to do what I want when I want to do it, say what I want to say. But then they're trying to police other people's language. If he don't want to live around blacks, he don't have to. Many blacks don't want to live around blacks. That's why as soon as you look at next Friday, soon as Uncle Elroy hit the lottery, what did he do? He moved the hell away from all the black people. If you got a bunch of money right now, you move into a mostly white neighborhood. But him saying it bothers you because the problem is not Nick Fuentes' racism. The problem is black people's love, admiration, and desire to be in close proximity to white folks. That's the problem. You get offended if a white person don't like you. You get offended if a white person don't want to live next to you. Why? I couldn't care less. Why does it offend you? Because you know, secretly, deep down, you know you're scared of your own people, and you know that white people are the buffer between you and the other black people. Why you think over there in Louisiana, when them white folks in that city wanted to separate from the blacks in the city? Because one side was just ridiculous, crime-ridden, riddled, and they said, man, we need to just make our own little area. Them black folks sued them. Them black folks all day talk about, I hate the white man. When the white man wanted to separate from them in Louisiana, in that one little town, they sued them to make them stay within the borders, the city limits of that town. You got to make up your mind. Either you hate them and they racist, or you love them and you don't want them to leave you behind. Richard Jackson said, It's not because I wanted to get away from black people. It's because my money says I need to be somewhere nice. Right. And you know that 90% of the time, somewhere nice don't got a large number of black folks. Now they do exist. The places do exist. But I'm telling you right now, today, let a black person get some money. He ain't like, let me move to the Inkwell. Is that still a thing? The Inkwell, where those black people lived in that nice community? Yeah, who thinks Nick Fuentes is a Fed? Yeah. Black folks, we got a tendency to just give all this this unnecessary like power to just anybody who we don't like. He's not Nick Fuentes. He's Thanos, Brandon. You don't understand. He could just snap and you're going to cease to exist. We believe stupid stuff like that.
Or I'll be like, okay, Nick, and you have your right to your opinion. I don't agree with the opinion. Probably nobody in here does. I know nobody agrees with that opinion. You probably don't agree with that opinion. That's where we stop it at.
Person, I'm not living around blacks. Sorry. You know, I want white kids and I don't want my
guys. I shouldn't be reading the comments, but I got to address this. You're slow if you think it's not possible that he's a plant. Keep trusting these social media demigods. Okay, a plant for what? For what? A white dude telling you things that you already know about your own people. He's a plant. They needed him to come tell you. They didn't send Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and every other black leader, Thurgood Martin, everybody else, but they got to put this Mexican boy in position to come and tell you, do what to you? What exactly is Nick Fuentes going to do? The people who agree with him, they listen to his content. They thought like that before they listened to Nick Fuentes. He's a plant. Black folk, everybody got to be something more greater and powerful than they are. Keep trusting these. No one trusts anyone on social media. I would hope. But if you're saying things that I already know, I'm like, okay, you're telling the truth because I already know that. That's like me saying, buy one of these African chew sticks. They keep your breath fresh and keep your teeth clean. You already know that African chew sticks keep your breath fresh and keep your teeth clean. So it's not an issue of whether you believe me or not. You know what I'm saying is true, right? Does that make me a freaking plant? Yeah, plant. The government put you there, man. The government don't need to plant nobody among Negroes. We are the most open book on earth, hyper emotional and reactionary. They can tell you, I'm going to tell you right now. Let's say a cop beat up a black person today. Beat the dog shit out of him. You know what black folks gonna do? Call Ben Crump, start protesting, try to boycott Target, and then end up forgetting all about it in a couple of months. That's what we're gonna do. We've been studied thoroughly, and they figured us out. They're not as complicated as we thought. They're very simple. Their reactions are very predictable. Now, if they beat up a black person and y'all picked up a bunch of AR-15s and AK-47s and stormed the damn police station and killed every cop inside, now that would be a problem for them. Wow, didn't expect them to do that. But we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Fluffy Bunny, Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens cannot destroy the Republican Party. They are radio, TV, social media personnel. Nothing more. We're going to play a little bit more of this, and that's going to be the hour on this main topic.
My white kids bringing home black people to marry.
He's
It's
triggering
racial
you.
for me. And call me racist. Oh, very Christian of you. I don't give a fuck.
I mean, it couldn't be clearer, really.
He's triggering you. He's gaslighting. It's obvious. He knew if he said that, he was going to get 1 million views. He knew. That's why, let me tell you about social media. When someone says stuff like that and they wait to the very end to say the little cuss word as they're finishing, they're doing that on purpose because they know if they say that curse word in the first 30 seconds of the clip, it's going to get demonetized. But if you say it at the end of the clip, it will stay monetized. If you know about social media, you can tell when these dudes are literally clip farming. That's what it's called, clip farming. If I just all of a sudden went into a tirade or a rant against white people, calling them all types of derogatory names, you'd be like, what is he doing? Yeah, I would be clip farming. That's what he was doing right there. Kels, we're not done, Kels. I'm just saying this is our first topic. We got to talk about JAZMINE CROCKETT. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments about this topic. I think we covered it pretty well. Maybe I'll clip it up and post it later. Let's get to these super chats. Man, we got my brother, Comma Classical, is doing all the heavy lifting this morning, guys. Help a brother out. Give him the HBO special. Shout out to the Poor Man's Podcast. Real question, no disrespect. Why haven't you backed out of this party? And how does this benefit you? How does what benefit me, bro? Republican Party? I just vote for whatever I believe is best for me. But you might not identify with what benefits me because you don't have any kids and you don't have a family. So if you don't agree with me, I can understand that. But when you get some responsibility and you have mouths to feed, like you don't go to work and y'all gonna be homeless with no food, yeah, your views will align more closely with mine. Trust me. It's nature. It happens all the time. Most people, as they get older, become more conservative in their midlife, right? And then some people, as they get old, when they get old, they get a little bit more liberal again. That's social evolution. That's the way it is. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why you got an issue with me being a Republican so bad. I told my people I don't care that Donald Trump is racist or a felon, as long as he fulfills my wishes. That's the way it's supposed to be. I couldn't care. They don't care. Black folks, funny. We got the most locked up family members out of everybody. But we don't disown them and disinvite them from the family reunion. But we got to throw away the best choice for president because he got felonies, which are getting thrown out as we speak. I'll tell you something, too, that I thought about when I was sitting on the toilet this morning. I said, these Democrats, right, they will argue for illegal criminal alien migrants who committed a crime by crossing over into the country illegally, right? And they'll say, well, coming into the country illegally is not a crime because it's a civil offense and not a criminal offense, right? That's what they say. If you pay attention, that's what they say. Coming into the country illegally is not a crime because it is a civil offense. But yet, wasn't Donald Trump convicted of in a civil suit? Wasn't the case brought against Trump by Eugene Carroll a civil suit? So if Trump gets convicted in a civil court, it's a crime. But if an illegal immigrant gets convicted of illegally coming into the country in a civil court, it's not a crime. Y'all make that make sense? I know I blew y'all mind this morning. I know that just blew y'all mind. Thus is the hypocrisy of the left. If an illegal alien rapist comes into the country, it's a civil offense, so it's not a crime. But if Donald Trump is convicted in a civil court, in a civil case, that is a crime. And that should be enough for him to be barred from presidency. Okay, let's get Donald Trump out and let's get rid of all the millions and millions of illegals. I'll take that trade. Let's stand on business. Let's stand on our word. Let's choose a side. If Donald Trump is guilty of a crime, though it was just a civil lawsuit, then all these illegal immigrants are guilty of a crime too, and they got to go. I'll take that trade. But these are the conversations that they don't want to discuss. They don't want to have. To be a conservative, all you got to do is use your brain. Use your common sense. Liberals, they're common sense adverse. Okay, benefit you. I guess you took. There we go. I guess I took you way too seriously. Continue because I'm being entertained. You funny. Thank you, brother. I appreciate the contribution. I really do. I told my people I don't care. Oh, you already got that one. Damn, bro. Thank you. The only problem is that a majority of white people view you as Pookie, even though you are conservative, broad brush sweep. I don't think the majority of white people view me as a Pookie. I think the majority of white people are focused on what they're going to do with their own life. I don't think white people look at black people and be like, oh, yeah, there goes a Pookie and a Ray Ray. I think black people look at each other more like that. I think most white people are looking at me like, hey, I hope this guy doesn't get mad and like beat the shit out of me for whatever reason. Do I think that white people look at black people as being hyper aggressive? And so they're kind of like a little bit worried when we're around? Yeah, I do. But that's the way we present ourselves on TV, videos, movies, even the movies we make about ourselves. Understand, Boys in the Hood and all that was produced by black people. It was directed by black people. So that's the version of ourselves that we export to the world. So I can't be mad at them for that. You watch movies like Juice, Bishop running around blowing away his own friends. White folks is looking at that shit like, is that the way they deal with each other? So can't hold it against them. If you're guilty, you're guilty. 100%. Okay, thank you, my brother, for all those $40 worth of super chats. That's a blessing. Appreciate that. Now we're gonna go into our Queen. We was Queens and shit. Now we're gonna go into the situation that is unfolding with soon-to-be ex-House Representative JAZMINE CROCKETT, due to Texas's new redistricting, and maybe she has a chance. I'm sure. Maybe a soon-to-be senator. This lady, as beautiful as she may be, which I don't think she's beautiful, but people think that. So who am I to argue? She's basically melting down. Her constituents, they're all melting down. She announces that she is running for Senate because she is most likely going to lose her seat in the House. So she's running for Senate. And earlier this year, I think it was last month, she talked about her competition. And there's one person in the group that she's running against, they're all Republicans, who she thinks she has a chance of beating in a head-up race. Problem is, she most likely is not going to end up facing that person if the numbers hold as they are today. So JAZMINE is definitely flying on a wing and a prayer. She's throwing a Hail Mary pass with this Senate campaign. I don't know why people will vote for her. I don't know why people will vote for her, but I know black women will support her. Black women support anything as long as there's a woman involved. But it's not looking good for old JAZMINE. I can't leave what part out. Okay, let me play this.
Is it a risk, though, to nominate more progressive candidates? Like, let's say, JAZMINE CROCKETT, your friend, is considering running for the Texas Senate seat. Yeah. Is that a risk to have such a candidate like that?
I think it's people want this to be about progressive versus moderate. Every community requires a different kind of candidate. We should be celebrating and uplifting our young people who stand up and raise their hand. And I think trying to diminish this into some like progressive versus moderate debate is so silly and small. And I just think that we're bigger than that, and this moment calls for more than that.
Several days later.
How about this new one they have? Their new star, CROCKETT. How about her? She's the new star of the Democrat Party, JAZMINE CROCKETT. They're in big trouble.
But you have this woman, CROCKETT. She's a very low IQ person.
I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. CROCKETT. Oh, man. Oh, man. She's a very low IQ person.
Somebody said the other day, she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding.
Now they're going to rely on Crockett. Crockett's going to bring them back.
Nope. Nope. No. Nope. No, we're not doing this. Cue all the liberals telling me I hate black women. I know it's coming. No, I don't want this establishment Democrat Zionist to run for Senate and succeed. I want James Tallarico to succeed. As someone who actually lives in Texas, mind you, James Tallarico is a progressive who is Christian and appeals to the center left and is actually the future of shifting Texas blue. She's not an economic left populist. She has not done enough to convince me that she has any kind of real policy when it comes to economics. She is sufficiently socially liberal and, you know, is vocal against this terrible administration, but that should not be enough for you. I call her a Zionist because anything other than with your chest speaking out against the Israeli government is not enough. She has not seen a lot of like legislative success in Congress, and she's like kind of a clip farmer. Like she really tries to appeal to the Gen Z voter base, but it just comes across like that sounds like a good thing, but it just comes across very performative and like, oh, yippee, I'm in Congress. Like,
100%. That guy, the blue hair freak, liberal, he got it. He hit the nail on the head. JAZMINE Crockett is all political theater. She's no substance. Can anyone name a bill that she's actually gotten passed? Can anyone name a bill that, I mean, she's written a bill, but it was so terrible, they didn't even vote on it. This is what I'm saying. She has no substance. What JAZMINE Crockett does well is get liberal black women and the white women who lead them around on a leash to give money to the Democrat Party. That's it. That is the end of her. That is the zenith or epitome of her usefulness for the Democrat Party. Period. And the constituents don't like her. Support a sister. LTZ, shut up. Ain't nobody about to support somebody just because they black or just because they're a woman. Support her doing what? Doing her best impression of Bonquisha? JAZMINE Crockett is not even really, the person she presents herself to be now, that's not even who she really is, guys. Go back and look at her videos from a couple years ago. She was the most modest, meek, humble, well-spoken, educated woman ever. Now she up there, now you don't understand. Now Trump a piece of shit, girl. What? Who is this? It's all performative. It's all political theater. And I don't think anybody who's serious about, where they are, building their community, should support this lady. And she's in the Republicans, they've already redrawn the electoral maps in Texas. So they basically eliminated her district. So she's now trying to stay in politics by running for Senate. But hey, I tell you guys all the time, these black people jump up, they defend these radical liberal policies, they put their neck on the chopping block for these white liberals, and guess who always ends up losing? They do. She is just the latest in a long line of black people who sacrificed their political future in an effort to try to align themselves with the radical left progressives. Do I need to name the list? Cori Bush, Nina Turner, Jamal Bowman. Now let's put JAZMINE Crockett on the end of that list. Let's put Al Green on the end of that list because he's next. The radical liberal progressive left recruits black politicians to do their dirty work and say the politically polarizing things that they'll never say. Stacey Abrams. Thank you. Stacey Abrams, perfect example. Not Ketanji. What's her name? Fani Willis. And the list goes on and on. If you're black in the Democrat Party, all you are is an idiot sacrificial lamb who they're going to pump up to say all this polarizing crap that's going to make you lose your seat, your elected position. They're going to tell you that you need to fight more for the party than your constituents. And after 1 or 2 terms, you're going to be out. You're going to be out. Zeb Bates, exactly. Puppets. getting used. Now they about to lose their seat, but you don't see AOC losing her seat, do you? You don't see Bernie Sanders losing his seat. You don't see none of these white or Hispanic liberals losing their seat because they're not going to get out in public forum and say the stupid stuff that these black liberals are saying. They know this is political suicide. I like my job, but we keep getting used. That's all the Democrat Party has ever done is use black people to our own detriment. And then when you lose your seat, guess what they do? They just say, oh, we don't know. We don't know what to do. And they sit back and laugh while you work your butt off to try to get reelected. And they don't even help you. Look at Cori Bush right now. She's also running for the Senate. She on she's on the YouTube, on the internet. She's on the internet begging for money because she don't got money to run for Senate. She doesn't have money to even run, but she threw away her career trying to stick close and be down with the Democrats. How about you do your job and represent the people who elected you, fool? Black folks always getting hoodwinked.
What does it mean to be from St. Louis? When I think of home, I think of our community's red brick. Strong, weathered, resilient.
Looks like
alone, one brick can be broken. But together, brick by brick, our neighborhoods, our history, and our strength become a force and a movement. I ran for Congress because I know what it feels like to be a working class St. Louis.
Let me address something real quick in the comments. Zeb Bates said, freedom of speech out the window. You have to stick to the script agenda, right? And Zeb Bates, I believe that what you're saying is misguided. No, if I send you to Congress to represent me and fight for me, I don't expect to see you on TV screaming at Donald Trump 24 hours a day, not even mentioning my community and what you're doing to help me. JAZMINE Crockett got elected to Congress to help those people down in Texas. JAZMINE Crockett got to Capitol Hill and declared a war against Donald Trump, which does not help a single person in her district in Texas. That's the problem. While she's over here on TV thinking she's cute and funny because she gets to talk trash about Donald Trump, other politicians, other congressmen and senators, they are over here brokering deals with major companies like Tesla, Amazon, UPS, different companies to bring jobs to their community. So your politician, your elected official goes to Capitol Hill and fights for your prosperity. My elected official goes to Capitol Hill to go and argue with the president all day. Yeah, they got to go. I need them to be over there doing something that's going to benefit me. She's a Texas congresswoman. Texas is red. It ain't going blue. So what is the point of you arguing with Donald Trump all day? It's not helping you. It's not helping me as your constituent. And that's why that's why her district is getting drawn out. People aren't even fighting for it. They're just like, oh, well, they don't care. She wasn't doing nothing for them anyway.
Too often unseen, unheard, left out. I promised to fight for St. Louis, and we delivered. We brought billions of dollars home, directly to our community. We secured flood relief when disaster struck our neighbors. We fought for families poisoned by Coldwater Creek. And we always stood up for the most vulnerable. But because I spoke truth, they pushed back, attacked my name, my motives, spread lies and hate. But even after leaving office, when the storms came, I showed up on the ground because that's what needed to be done. And that's what our district deserves. This community is my purpose. And what ifs don't define us. Action does. I ran for Congress to change things for regular people. I'm running again because St. Louis deserves leadership that doesn't wait for permission, doesn't answer to wealthy donors, and doesn't hide when things get tough. All across America, we see it. Our rights rolled back, our history being rewritten, our lives on the line. The stakes for our community here have never been higher.
She's still gonna lose. She's still on the same agenda. I did this for St. Louis. I did that for St. Louis. Clearly, the people of St. Louis didn't think so because they elected Wesley Bell over you. People are tired of that. That is why states are sovereign, so that the citizens in a state, they can still have progress, even if there's the president sitting in the White House is not someone who they prefer to elect, right? But see, people don't understand that. She doesn't understand it. She's still talking about Donald Trump. And as soon as she started talking like that, she's done. Because they know what she's going to do. She's going to go back to Washington and try to go at Trump again with JAZMINE Crockett and the rest of them. She's a member of the squad. Being in the squad is bigger to her than being the representative of the people of St. Louis. But let's get back to JAZMINE Crockett.
Power in the U.S. Senate. JAZMINE Crockett is very openly considering running. Is that part of why you decided to not run anymore?
Yeah, of course it is. And I think, listen, JAZMINE's a friend of mine and we've served together. And I've known her since before we were both, in elected office. But it was about the fact that with, 3 strong candidates running, that we would certainly have a runoff. And I felt that was not, in the interest of the folks who had, come up to me, tell me their stories, who would, open themselves up. And in many ways, to me, I've always thought about this and try to take my ego, out of how I approach public service. That I ran for Congress, as you know, Dana, in the district where I was born and raised, against a Republican who'd been there for 22 years. Nobody thought I could win that one. And I ran for Senate to represent the state that's given me a chance to do all the things that I've done, from playing in the NFL, just being a civil rights lawyer to serving in Congress. And so this is a continuation of my attempt to try and put people first and now continue to serve my community just in a different way.
Can you tell me about the conversation that you had with your friend JAZMINE Crockett, how that went down and how you made the decision to let her take the wheel? I assume that's the way that you view this.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say that I view it that way.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what happened, right? You let Democrats have come up 1 seat. Colin out. She is currently leading. Okay, I'm going to let out in black community, right? You have the black.
Well, I wouldn't say that I view it that way.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what happened, right? You let a black woman bully you out of the race, right? I mean, I think this is a great representation of the problem with the modern black community, right? You have the black liberal woman bullying the black liberal man out of leadership, right? I mean, he basically said, okay, I'm going to let the black liberal woman do her thing, which is probably not going to be good for Democrats, okay? Because she is.
Yeah, so this guy, Colin Allred, the light-skinned guy who they were just interviewing, he basically drops out of the Senate race so JAZMINE Crockett could run for Senate. So now he's going to try to run for Congress. Listen, no one's taking these people serious. There is nobody who thinks that somebody who's just hopscotching from political race to political race is truly doing that because they have their best interests at heart. These people are just literally job hunting. That's what this is. And if you're just a politician who looks like you're just trying to look for anywhere you can fit in politics so you can get elected, people are going to pick up on that. People are going to vote for people that they feel connected to. Not somebody who's like, oh, he's just a Democrat, but he doesn't want anything that I want. They're not supporting that. But the Democrats at this point, they know that their constituents are going to vote blue no matter who. So it's just like they're going to throw you any old slop, any old wig wearing hyena, just throw her ass right on out there. JAZMINE Crockett looks so terrible. And she's beautiful. She's built like a damn pygmy with a wig on. in a bad wig. Just bad, girl. You worth millions of dollars and can't get your hair done. That woman is just gross to me, man. I'm sorry. I hate to make it personal, but she's gross. Inside and out. I hate her. I hate her personality. She's obnoxious, dude.
Election, and Democrats have come up 1 seat short in their bid for the Senate majority. We may well look at this day, Monday, December 8th, as the day that they doomed themselves, and I'll explain why. So we got word late Sunday via the Dallas Morning News that controversial Congresswoman JAZMINE CROCKETT is expected to run for the Senate seat currently held by John Cornyn. The filing deadline, the deadline to decide what race you're running in, is at 6 p.m. in Texas today. Crockett is expected to make her official announcement, either run for re-election in her House seat or run for the Senate by 4:30 p.m. Here's the problem if you're Democrats. This is a seat. Now, it's Texas, but this is a seat that, in theory, you could win. Republicans have a very crowded primary. We'll see. It'll be a test. I mean, if JAZMINE CROCKETT winds up as a Democratic nominee, I will tell you that political wisdom would suggest she's not going to win a general election. Stranger things have happened, like 2 terms of Donald Trump. So it's not impossible, but I would say we could well look back as if Democrats make a run at the Senate majority and they have the people in place in theory to start doing that. We may look back at this day, assuming JAZMINE CROCKETT announces that she is running in the Senate race, look back on this day and say, this is the day where that opportunity in Texas got a little less appealing. And if Crockett is the nominee, I don't know that National Democrats spend any money in Texas. Whereas I think if Talrico is a nominee against, say, Paxton, then I think they would spend money. So this could be a tough day for Senate Democrats' chances of retaking that majority. And, you know, I do think JAZMINE CROCKETT's going to run. I think she is probably a slightly better than even odds chance at being the Democratic nominee. And I think she has a under 10% chance of winning the general election. And that's not what you want to hear if you're a Democrat.
Yeah. So basically, in a nutshell, Democrats behind closed doors, they're in full-blown panic about this, right? There's absolutely zero doubt in my mind that the leadership, the powers that be, are losing their minds because of JAZMINE CROCKETT's ego, right? She probably could have just ran in some safe district out in Texas and been done with it, right? But no, she thinks that she has statewide appeal, apparently because she can raise money at the national level, because she's a social media superstar. She really believes that she can win the state of Texas, right? This is what she believes. And, you know, she has individuals, supporters, who also are delusional enough to believe that she may be able to win as well, too.
Yeah, JAZMINE is just, she's a typical liberal, or like JAZMINE 40-something years old, y'all. She like 45 or 46 years old. She's almost 50 years old. And she hasn't learned that social media success does not translate to success in politics. It just doesn't happen. Maybe if you're running for mayor like Zohran Mamdani, but over on a real seat like senator, that's not happening, bro. And somebody said in the comments, oh, I got to do some research to find out if she's flawed or not. Listen, you want me to tell you JAZMINE CROCKETT's number one flaw? Her number one flaw is she's like a dog that's after a bone or it's on a scent. She's a one-trick pony. Her only thing she can do is try to go after Trump. She can't write legislation that's going to get passed. She can't negotiate with people to bring anything good to her community. So why would you continue to vote for that person to be your representative? They can only do one thing: attack the president. That is literally it. All she can do is attack the president. Okay, Jazz, once you're done attacking the president, what are you going to do for me and the rest of these constituents? She's already letting you know that as senator, she's letting you know what her plan is. Yeah, so she says, well, you ain't never tried it the JC way. Well, what have you been doing for the past several years that you've been a congresswoman? It wouldn't that be us trying to get your way? And your district got drawn out. Well, if you were so strong with it, go run for someone else's district. I just don't believe it. And she's telling you her goal is to turn Texas blue. Okay, that ain't gonna happen no time soon. So basically, she's telling you that I'm not gonna do anything for the next couple of years. I just want you to keep on electing me and not expecting anything. Hey guys, give me a 1 if you can hear me, okay? Somebody saying they can't hear. She's gonna be like the politicians, the Democrats in California. They get elected, but they basically tell you, hey, don't expect me to do anything. Okay, yeah. If you can't hear, that's your problem. But yeah. So they get elected, they're not gonna do anything. Elect me to do nothing because she doesn't even work with the other representatives in her own state. She doesn't work with the Republicans at all. And what a person like, okay, I'll give you an example before we move on. Okay, say we don't agree on Donald Trump. I hate Trump. But you know what? I need more funding for some programs in my district. I could go to the president and say, hey, Mr. President, I know we don't see eye to eye on the immigration issue. I know we don't see eye to eye on the bombing of the Venezuelan drug boats. But we need some more funding because we got all these little kids in wheelchairs and they ain't got no ramps and stuff. I mean, the ramps need to be refurbished and rebuilt at their school. And we need to move them from the self-powered wheelchairs to the automated wheelchairs. And I'm trying to pass a bill to get, $500 million sent to my district to help the little wheelchair kids so they could get around. That's something Donald Trump, I believe, would be down to do. She's so partisan, she won't even go to the president. Jasmine Crockett's mindset represents the mindset of Black people politically. She only wants to work with who she wants to work with. She only wants to work with who she wants to work with. And if she can't work with who she wants to work with, well, guess her constituents aren't going to get anything. I've said this a million times, and I want you to pay attention. Black people in America have half of the political life of every other group of people in America. You know why? Because if a Democrat doesn't get elected president, Black people accept this idea that we're just not going to get anything for 4 years while everybody else is getting everything they want. We basically say, look, if we don't get it from Democrats, we don't want it. All these other groups, the Asians, the Mexicans, the Jewish people, all that, they might go for one candidate. If he doesn't win, they're calling the next day to the office of the winner saying, look, we didn't vote for you. We didn't give you no money. We didn't help you. We don't like you. But can we work with you to get some things done for our community? Every other group does that except for Black America. Black America, if it ain't there, I was talking to my uncle the other day. He brought up some stuff about little kids getting killed in Gaza. I said, well, kinfolk, the kids was getting killed in Gaza Strip under Biden. Trump got elected and he stopped the bombing and got the ceasefire done, which stopped the kids being killed. He said, oh, no, but it don't matter because it's already bombed out now. I said, well, it was bombed out before he got in office. And he tried to do some, but this and that. But reality was, what he was saying was, it doesn't matter because it's Trump who did it. That's what he was saying. That's what he said. That's basically what he was saying. I don't care. He only cared about the kids getting bombed as long as that hurt Trump. If the kids was getting bombed under Biden, he don't care. But if the kids are getting bombed under Trump, it's a problem. And then when Trump stops the kids from getting bombed, oh, it don't matter because there's nothing left. Everything's bombed out. Did he stop the kids from getting killed or not? See, with people like that, if they don't like you, it doesn't matter how much good you do. They're going to find a problem with it. And that's a lot of African American people. Michael Kimbrough, like this guy right here, right? Michael Kimbrough. He says, you're always attacking black people. Right here. Here you go, bug dancing for Whitey again. See, this guy right here is a close personal friend of Kamala Harris. See, everyone has a motive, guys. This guy right here is a close personal friend of Kamala Harris. He knows her personally. And the only reason he supported Kamala Harris over Trump is because he would have had access to the White House and to the president if she were elected. Good morning, Mike. I love you, man. But I just want to show you, people have their own agenda. He gonna tell me I'm a bug dancer and disparage me as a black man because he's mad because his buddy didn't get elected president. And that's okay. That's okay. He's still a buck dancing, bootlicking coon, but I still love him. But I'm just telling you, and you got to understand that. So when someone's saying something, question the motive, right? What's the motive? You can ask me, Brandon, what is your motive? Look, I'm not thrilled about my daughter being forced to go in bathrooms with transgender men, right? I'm not thrilled about my daughter being forced to play sports against little boys with wigs on who identify as women. That actually happened to me and my kid when she was younger, right? I'm not thrilled about Democrat politicians lightening the sentencing for people who purchase 16 and 17-year-old girls for sex. This is a fact. The Democrats in California fought a bill that would that would make it a felony to purchase 16 and 17-year-old girls for sex. Seeing as how I have a 16-year-old girl, I'm going to want those penalties to be very stiff as a deterrent to anybody who might want to do that. Now, my question is this. Why does my good friend Michael, why is he willing to sacrifice not only my 16-year-old daughter, but every other 16 and 17-year-old girl in California? Why is he willing to sacrifice their safety just so he can have a friend in the White House and have access to the president? See, you always have to question motive, right? The reason I didn't vote for this lady was genuine. It was personal, but it was genuine. And her not getting in benefits me and a lot of other African-American, Mexicans, whatever, who have daughters, right? But bro's motivation was all personal. His motivation was all personal. You remember D.L. Hughley when he said one of his friends touched his daughter, molested his daughter, and he knew about it, but he didn't say nothing because he didn't want it to impact his Hollywood career? There are people who will sacrifice everything for their personal gain. But I'm not going to sacrifice my child to these monsters and degenerates so I can have access to somebody in the White House. That's stupid. That's our reason for being here, to make the world a better place for our children. If you call that bug dancing, that's fine. I bug dance. But I will fight till my last breath to keep these grown-ass men out of the bathroom with my baby. And your baby, too. There's men in prison, in women's prisons in California right now, raping women. That girl, Tish Hyman, the actress, the singer, she's going crazy right now, rolling up on all these California politicians, confronting them about that. They don't care. Michael Kimbrough says, so you will let Trump grab your daughter. Trump won't be around my daughter. He don't live in California. But I ain't going to let Jenny, whose name is really James, grab her either. And I can keep my daughter away from Trump. My daughter going to the girls' bathroom, Trump ain't gonna be in there. But Tyrone, now he calling himself Tish, he will be in there. But this is just the way it is. You always got the sellout in your community who will sacrifice everybody for their own personal gain. You know, every slave rebellion in history was thwarted because a black slave ratted out the slaves who were planning the rebellion. That's people like Michael Kimbrough. He's like, man, I'm worried about me. F this dude daughter. F these little girls in California. I don't give a damn if they get trafficked. Let me, as long as I could call Kamala, what up, homie? She's in bed with the drug cartels anyway. So, you know, she don't care about no trafficking. Let me give you a quiz, Mike Kimbrough. Out of the 300 and something thousand children who crossed the border illegally and were trafficked illegally, how many of those people did Joe Biden find? I'll give you a short answer, 0. How many of them has Trump found? 68,000. You don't even think about those people. Blue no matter who. Sorry, guys. I digress. Let me get this super chat. Shout out to my brother from another mother, Sucker Season Clothing. Salute to you, bro. Salute to you. And the new launch of the clothing line. I got my Sucker Season Clothing shirt. I'm going to wear that tomorrow on the live stream. It's dope as hell. I love the shirt. Thank you, brother, for the contribution and all the support that you give this channel. Okay, guys, we're going to move forward. I think this is going to be our final one. We got to talk about this dude, MYSONNE. This New York. Oh, dang. Yeah. Okay. We got to talk about this dude, MYSONNE, this New York rapper who was recently appointed to a position within the government of New York by radical communist socialist mayor ZOHRAN Mamdani. MYSONNE was recently interviewed by CROCKETT. If you're in the black political space, you know who CROCKETT is. CROCKETT basically cooked MYSONNE. And it was really easy for him to do that because MYSONNE has basically adopted a feminist he's basically adopted a socialist feminist mindset in an effort to basically gain position within the administrative framework of far left radicals. And it worked. That guy basically sacrifices manhood, comes out and promotes ideas that are harmful to the black community. And in exchange for that, they gave him his 30 pieces of silver to go off on the black man. I mean, in exchange for him betraying the black community. Let's go here. I'll play a little clip from their debate to get you guys up to speed on exactly who this guy is, because I realize a lot of people don't know who this guy is, which is it's not wild, because I didn't know who he was for a while, but then I learned. I found out. And I wasn't surprised. Typical black man sacrificing his manhood so he can have access to far left radical spaces.
Instead of trying to say, don't take no handout. No, everybody else is taking handouts and they're utilizing it and they're benefit from it and they're growing. So why shouldn't black people do the same thing?
See, it's thinking like that has led the black community to where it is right now, struggling to get ahead. Why? Because being encouraged by people like the brother right there on the screen, MYSONNE, encouraging people to be okay with taking a handout, as opposed to doing whatever we have to do to build and double up and double up. And
so brother right here, Brian Maxwell, shout out to him. I never saw his channel, but I'll go subscribe. But listen, that you heard MYSONNE talk. Everybody else getting handouts. Why black people ain't getting handouts? Listen, man, black people understand how the handouts can be detrimental to your community. That's why. If you know something is going to hurt you, right? if you know somebody's gonna hurt you, why would you continue to beg for it? Why would you continue to advocate for it? That's my only question. If you know it's going to hurt you, why are you still telling people, yeah, we need this? Yeah, we need this. But see, you got to understand, my son is not saying what he's saying because he truly believes it. He's not a dumb guy. My son's saying that crap because he knows that that's what he has to say to be given access to spaces in New York by people like Zohran Mamdani. Hey, are you willing to sell out your community? Yes, I am. And guess what they do? Once you show them that nigga put, man, that you're willing to sell out your community, right? Okay, you can be down with us. See, they need to make sure that you are not gonna say anything that can potentially benefit Black people, that can help Black people kind of like lift ourselves up out of, the situation that I'm not going to say white people put us in. They had a lot to do with it, but ultimately we put ourselves in the situation by agreeing to take the things that they were offering, not understanding that it would have a negative impact on our community. Let's tap into this.
It's the one and only. It's the big homie. Your favorite YouTuber's favorite YouTuber, Fax Kellerman, the idol of James Bond, Marquette Devon Burton, Saint, and the sinner. And today we have a human rights. Most every government is.
I said the government gives more benefits.
Okay, and you want to read that one? You able to see that?
Hold on.
Wrote because some people
he's showing how they got to this point. And this is good.
Enjoy this. The audience, you're here to watch it. If you have any comments or questions as we go through, please do use the information below. I want to show you guys what sparked this conversation. I trust we can have this conversation like gentlemen, as the gentleman shared some of his background. I know that he's been in many environments where respect is at a premium. So I think this will be a very polite conversation. Let's go ahead and show you guys the background on how we came to have this conversation. And then we're going to go ahead and get into it. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to play you guys the clip, and then we'll read through the comment that was made. I think you actually had a few comments. I only saw the one that you, or rather, I only read the one you replied directly to me, but I'll check out the other one because I saw your name on there. But let's see if we can get this played from the beginning. In the audience, if you'd be kind enough to populate an Alpha 1 into the chat to confirm that you can hear the video as it plays. A Black family. So some people say, oh, you don't understand, you're well off. I'm like, look, man, I really came from the mud. Like, I was poorer than the other poor kids because my mom was on dope when I was a young boy. My father was in prison doing 10 for selling dope. So I really come from the mud. And one of the things I have to admit is that, well, damn, if you can still afford to use drugs while you're on SNAP, maybe if they took away the SNAP, you'd use that hustle you used to purchase those drugs to cover the basics, just maybe. And if not, if you're actually in a tribe, we'll be forced to take care of each other. There'll be necessity. They say necessity is the mother of invention. What we need to invent is the Black family because it's currently dead. So, of course, my heart goes out to people who are struggling, but I think mostly they're not struggling as much as they think they're struggling. And SNAP has destroyed Black families. So some people say, oh, you don't understand, you're well off. I'm like, look, man, I really came from the mud. Cool. So that was the actual video. We'll discuss later what was actually said in the video because some people have erected a straw man that they're arguing against. But first, let's look at the comments that were made, particularly by the gentleman. I'll let him read his if the characters are big enough for him to see, but I'll read mine. The gentleman can read his, and then we'll go from there. Thank you for the platform, Willie D. And shout out to Willie D, by the way. I wrote, sad to see some Black folks arguing for government benefits, subsistence, instead of trying to figure out how we can really thrive. We shouldn't want SNAP. We should want wealth and power. Anyone who wants to discuss on live, DM. Okay, and you want to read that one? You able to see that?
I said the government gives more benefits to billionaires than it does poor blacks. Most of the people on SNAP truly need it and have raised successful children who've been able to create generational wealth. Your comparison is just false. There are so many people who fell to drugs that weren't even on SNAP.
Okay, very good. And you had another comment. We'll address that one later. So we'll just start with this one. And I got a bunch of screens up here, so do forgive me. But I want to make our faces larger, and we'll take it piece by piece. So I'll engage the rebuttal right here. I got my pen and paper out too. So the government gave more benefits to billionaires than it does to poor blacks. Now, right there, we agree there. Oh, absolutely. In fact, I would forward the idea that the government is a tool of the wealthy, and that's mostly what every government is. So there's that. So are we agreed that the government is a tool of the wealthy?
Yes.
All right, fair enough. All right, so we're on the same page there. So carrying on to the next point, the gentleman writes, most people on SNAP truly need it. So that's not even the whole sentence, but that's the first piece, which I actually disagree with that. And so I think we have a fundamental disagreement there. Tell me more about when you say most people on SNAP truly need it.
Well, when you talk about most people that are on SNAP, they're truly elderly, they are incapacitated, injured, they have injuries where they can't work. There are some people who just are highly uneducated and don't have the resources to actually work to where they can make a livable wage. And those are realities, right? And what happens is I come from a family like that, right? My mother wasn't able to make a wage that was able to sustain 2 children. And when she started out on welfare, she started out on SNAP on welfare, with getting benefits, was going to school at the same time, right? She was utilizing the system like most other ethnicities do. When we talk about, SNAP, we only represent 25% of the people that are on.
Yeah, we only represent 25% of the people. We have a small number. So if you're representing, if you're representing 25% of the people, that's an issue. But here's the thing: the guy's just a consummate excuse maker. Oh, there's people who can't provide for themselves. They can't earn a livable wage and all this nonsense, bro. You have immigrants coming to this country who don't even speak English at all. Never been here, don't know north, south, east, west, and they're able to find jobs and sustain. Hey, you might need to have a roommate for a couple of years, but you can learn, go to night school, a lot of things. This guy, my son, is a person who's like apologist for Black failure and lack of effort. My mother, she couldn't find a job to support us. No, your mom didn't want a job, my son. And as someone who lived through that, you should be able to understand like the detrimental nature of having people who just become comfortable living on welfare. Where's my son's mother now? That's what I would like to know. Everybody can move up in America, man. Everyone can move up in America if they got some sense. But what we see is what we've always seen in the hood. Generational welfare. People who look at their ability to exploit the welfare system as some type of gift or talent, who are like, hey, if I don't have to work and I can survive without working, that's what I'm going to do. You know how many people just stay on welfare because they don't have to work? They're poor as hell. They'll have a windfall every now and then, but overall they're going to be poor. But they're okay with that because they rather be broke and poor than go work a job. Those are the people my son is defending. He's bringing up the elderly and stuff. He knows that's not who we're talking about. We're talking about the able-bodied men and women who get up and proudly walk over to the county office every day, once a month, twice a month, to go get their cut of our hard-earned taxpayer dollars when they could be walking their ass to a job. But this is what it's about. This is what socialism is. My son is a socialist. everybody should get free stuff at the expense of someone else.
SNAP for Black people. So when we're having these conversations, I know a lot of people that I know who are successful, who parents were on welfare, right? And it motivated them to never want to be on welfare. And their parents didn't say, hey, this is a tool that you utilize, that you're supposed to be on welfare. I'm on welfare right now because I don't have the resources. I didn't get the education. You know, I didn't have all of the access to wealth that someone else had, but I'm giving you the resources. And right now, this is what put foods on your table. So when you go to school, I need you to study harder so that you don't have to be in this position. So I think for me, when you say that it ruined the Black community, I say,
yeah, so this guy's an idiot, as we all know. He's saying that a parent being on welfare is somehow going to empower their kid not to be on welfare. So your lazy parent who never gave a damn to get up, get off their butt and go, find a way to put food on the table and improve your life, that person is somehow going to show you how getting free handouts from the government is supposed to motivate you to want to go to work. Why do you think there's a such thing as generational welfare? Because people usually imitate what their parents do. That's literally the definition. That is the textbook example of do as I say, not as I do. I sat on my ass all day and didn't do shit and lived off the government, but you don't do that. You go to Harvard and get a doctorate. Well, if they don't got the resources to pay the rent, I highly doubt they have the resources to send their kid to a 4-year college. This is a nonsensical argument from a ridiculous position, from the perspective of a bum criminal robber who spent many years of his life in prison because he was too lazy to work for what he wanted, and he wanted to steal. My son is nothing more than a thief and a coward. And that is the perfect landing place. Socialism and communism is the perfect landing place for thieves and cowards because it's stealing, it's theft by another name. So it makes sense that he's a prime candidate to be in this position. And guess what? Because Zohran Mamdani is also a thief and a coward, he saw fit to bring my son along with him as a appointed official within the framework of his administration.
Instead of trying to say, don't
within the framework of his administration. So let's play this little clip. All right, here. Yeah, this is it.
NYC's new mayor just appointed a convicted armed robber to his public safety team, and the city is erupting. Is this bold reform or a dangerous mistake? New York City is in the middle of a political firestorm, all because Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani just made one of the most controversial appointments in recent memory. He's tapped MYSONNE Lennon, a former rapper and a man convicted of armed robbery in the late 1990s, to serve on his Committee on the Criminal Legal System, a key part of his public safety transition team. Lennon served years in prison for robbing taxi drivers, but since then, he's built a reputation as an activist and co-founder of the justice group Until Freedom. NYC's new mayor just appointed a convicted armed robber to his public safety team.
Okay, so you see that. Guy's a convicted armed robber, robbed 2 taxi drivers. My boy JC is giving us some juice on it. Pause. My son spent time in prison for robbing 2 taxi drivers. He's still saying he didn't do it. Right. I read that this morning. Just an unaccountable thief, a degenerate, a thug. But listen, if you're going to steal, who better to have around you than other thieves? If you're going to steal, who better to have in your presence than other thieves? People who you know ain't going to snitch, ain't going to call you out. Now, this guy is sitting up collecting your taxpayer dollars, right?
And the city is...
He's collecting your taxpayer dollars, and he's paid his debt to society, but he still hasn't taken any accountability. You think my son is going to come up with a good plan to help the people of New York? No, he's not. No, he's not. His mind says, hey, rich people got it, we don't. Let's take it from them and we can have all the money we want. He's a thief. You got to be a special kind of individual to go rob people who've been working hard for their money. And let me tell you what's funny. These guys have so much smoke for the rich, but when they commit their crimes, do they go rob the rich? My son, if you ever see this, which you probably won't, when you went to go rob those hardworking, lower middle class taxi cab drivers, you do know you could have went over to a rich neighborhood. You could have went to Manhattan, the east side, and you could have went up in those high-rise buildings and got a bunch of multimillionaires and billionaires. Did he go to them? No. It's always the same story with these socialists and these communists. They come in telling you that they're going to take from the rich and give to the poor. But when it's all said and done, they get bribed by the rich and end up taking from the poor. I'm going to get the rich people money to put in my bank account in exchange for me taking the poor people's money to provide the services that I lied and said that I was going to give them. That is exactly what's going on in Chicago. Brandon Johnson said, well, the rich and the wealthy are going to pay their fair share. Well, when he got elected, the rich and the wealthy left. And it wasn't the rich and the wealthy, but the black homeowners, the poor, the barely out of poverty black homeowners who experienced an over 100% increase in their property taxes to pay for all that bull crap that Brandon Johnson was promising. It's always the same. It's always the same. But everybody wants socialism. It's going to be free. Be careful what you wish for. You might get it. And they're getting it. And they're struggling. Hey, I ain't going to lie. I will break the law and buy a food stamp. I ain't going to lie to you. But they're going to sell them to somebody, so why not me? Shoot. At least when I buy them, it's going to go on food. Not getting my nails done and my hair done. But guys, listen, we got to call it 2 hours. We've been going strong. Thank you so much for watching this. Shout out to everybody who contributed to the stream and everyone who hit the like button and shared the content. Shout out to my boy JC for the $5 holler in the super chat. Shout out to my boy, my day one, Sucker Season clothing brand, Comma Classical. Shout out to you for all the contributions. Did anybody drop something? Let me make sure. I don't want to miss nobody. Okay, we good. Shout out to everybody who tapped in. Every single person. You are definitely loved and appreciated. Until the next time, please take care of yourselves. But most importantly, take care of one another.